So welcome back, folks. Today is a continuation of our quest for accuracy with the 55 grain full metal jacket boat tail from 223bulkbullets.com, also known as Bob's Bullets. So we've been shooting the heck out of these things lately, getting pretty darn good accuracy for the price, right? We're talking about an 8-cent bullet, and we're still on the quest for that right powder that gets us the perfect groups that we're after. But the good news so far is we haven't found a powder where this thing sprays 3 and 4 inch groups. So it's been a consistent inch and a quarter to inch and a half performer, but we're looking for that perfect powder that's just going to creep that down to maybe that 1 inch mark today. So yesterday we tested out Vihtavuori N133 and N135. We're going to keep on going with that and test Vihtavuori N140. This is kind of the slower option as far as Vihtavuori goes in 223. So you would see this powder a whole lot more with heavy bullets, but there's low data with 55s, and we've got reports that it shoots well with 55s. So I want to try that guy out. Our low data is primarily the Vihtavuori website, but also the Hornady manual has N140 data for their 55 grain full metal jacket boat tail. So what I came up with is a range of 25.0 up to 27.0. And so, we're going to be shooting half grain increments. The other powder is Hodgdon Benchmark. So there we go, precision target rifle powder. This is one of their extreme powders, whatever. I don't know, it's a good one. A lot of people say that they have luck with it. I've had some luck with it in the past. We're going to try it here today with the Bobs. Load data from the bottle. It's actually right here on the bottle. They've got 55 grain 223 load data, and also the Hornady manual to double check things. But I'm going to stick with pretty close to the bottle. We're going to shoot 23.5 up to 25.5. The bottle says 25.6 is max, so we're just going to round it off a little bit. And speaking of that, there have been some complaints about, a lot of the videos lately. I've been shooting half grain increments and saying, I'm probably jumping right over accuracy nodes and not really showing the full potential. That's absolutely true. But this is the way I feel comfortable. We're shooting with an unknown bullet. We're learning more and more every day about its characteristics, but it's a different design than the Hornady bullet that we got load data for in their manual, or let's see, what bullet were they shooting? Yeah, the Hodgdon data was with a spear bullet. So I like to cover a lot of ground. The first time I'm trying out a new bullet, we're making up our own load data, really, to be honest. The first time with a powder, I want to cover a lot of ground, which means I can start low and get a good look at that brass. But at the same time, I've still got some high enough charges where hopefully we can get up toward the maximum range and see what sort of velocity potential the powder has. So these, these videos are not meant to be a full load workup. Hey, here's your load, everybody, go shoot it. It's much more vague information than that, right? If we were absolutely going all the way down for a load, it would be 3 or 4 videos where we do the first video with half grain increments, and then we narrow in. We either go higher, or maybe we've found a place that looks halfway decent and start narrowing down there. So this is, this is the shallow 2D view of things, and I just want to make sure that I'm not representing it as anything different. It is what it is. Let's finish up the load data real quick. We're shooting Lake City brass, and we are shooting our Federal AR small rifle match primers. I'm about to run out of these guys. We might switch over to some Winchesters here for a few videos here after this guy, but at least for today, we're going to continue shooting the Federals like we did yesterday. And I think that pretty much covers the load data. Now, I have spent a couple hours here sorting some bullets. That's been brought up several times in the comments, and thus far with Bob's, we haven't done any sorting. I wanted to get a good idea of how they shot just without worrying about that. And like I mentioned, we've seen, at least in my gun, really consistent inch to inch and a half performers. So it might be that a little bit of weight sorting or sorting on other parameters might be in order to squeeze out a little bit more accuracy. So I sat down, I grabbed my Gem Pro 300 scale that I kind of hate, found a decent YouTube video to watch, and then just started weight sorting bullets. So I ended up weighing almost 300, or a little over 250. So if we look at the tenths of a grain chart here, you'll see that 55.3 grains was by far the most common weight. We had a few heavies at 55.4 grains and a few light ones at 55.2 grains. There were no outliers. This accounts for every single bullet that I weighed during this session. There weren't any that I ignored. Now this looks awesome, But like I said, I used my Gym Pro scale, so I was able to see down to the 2/100ths of a grain resolution. And this is what it looked like with that closer view. You can see the most common was 55.28 grains. And if the, like I said, I sorted about 250 to 275 of them. It was a race to 50. What I was looking for was 50 bullets that weighed precisely the same, as close as I can measure with the equipment I have on hand. So that's what this was about. The bullets we're going to shoot today all weigh 55.28 grains. And as you can see here in the closer view, there's nothing really weird to see. This is a very good distribution. I am more than happy with the weight consistency we see here. So whether it'll make any difference or not, I don't know. But that's what I want to find out today. Here's my box of Bob's 55.28 grain bullets. I'd be interested to hear back from you guys. So these were weight sorted. What else should I consider sorting them on? Bullet length. Like, total length of the bullet. Or maybe grab like a Hornady bullet comparator. I could sort them by bullet base to ogive length. As far as diameter goes, I don't really know that I have the tools on hand to measure that precise enough to sort on that. But that's another idea. So yeah, let me know in the comments. How do you sort your bullets? Today we're doing it by weight. I'd be interested to see what your favorite measurement happens to be for that. So with all of this bullet sorting crap going on, we're a little bit late. I'm not going to say we're in a rush. We're not in a rush. I wish you wouldn't even imply that I'm rushing things. But we're going to work full speed here. The brass, as I said, is ready to rock, and I actually already threw the primers in these dudes. There they are. There's our federal primers. So I'm ready to start weighing powder, and we're not going to be screwing around too much. We'll be on the range here in just a few minutes. So I've been weighing charges and seating bullets 5 at a time here. I can't afford any spillage mistakes like yesterday. I am using the Gym Pro 300 that I did the video on a week or so ago. I mean, I gave it a pretty hard time in that video. And the more I use it, the more I get used to it, the more I feel good about every bad word I said. It is such a freaking pain in the butt to use. I've got to get a Gym Pro 250 again, or get that one shipped off and fixed, because this 300, I don't know, I need to put it on eBay or something. Get it out of my life one way or the other. So this has gone pretty well. I think we've got enough daylight left. So the case fill looks pretty good with Vitavori N140. Got just the tiniest bit of crunchiness with the top charge. Plenty of case capacity left with Benchmark though. All right, that is it. We've got 50 rounds ready to rock, so let's get on the range. Okay, time to get started here. So I showed some scope cam footage in yesterday's video, and I've got it back on here today. I want to give it one more try. There have been some positive comments and some negative comments. Mostly positive though, but I want to go ahead and run a poll in this video. So you click on, the top right-hand corner, you should see a poll, because I know not everybody likes to comment, and I'm interested in your feedback. If it adds nothing or if it's distracting, then I would rather not go through the trouble of dealing with another camera out here on the range. But if you enjoy seeing what I'm seeing, then it definitely is worth it. I'm still working through the focusing problems. This thing uses a phone as the camera, and I may just need to get a different phone that would work better in this application. I don't know. I'm interested in your feedback. All right, let's get started. First up is Vitavori N140, 25.0 grains. Our target is at 100 yards. This is an 18-inch white oak armament barrel, a 6-24 power scope. All the additional details and the parts list for the gun will be down in the description. So let's get started. All right, so that was a pretty decent start. Not a bad group, especially for this. I haven't shot any warm-up shots, so that was totally cold gun. So let's move on, 25.5 grains. .0. Tell you what, I'm pretty pleased with these groups. Not looking too bad at all. So let's move on, 26.5 grains. Okay, last up with N140 is 27.0 grains. Pretty happy with these groups so far. Let's finish it off good. Whoa. That was a crazy shot. Velocity looked normal on it. It felt like a good shot. All right, so overall, you'd have to say that was a pretty decent outing for Vitavori N140. That one crazy shot, we don't have an explanation for it, but otherwise, not bad. So it is time to move on to Hodgdon Benchmark. Our first load with this guy is 23.5 grains. All right, a little bit of a shaky start there with Benchmark. Moving on, 24.0. So that was definitely a nice little improvement in accuracy. Moving on, 24.5 grains. .0. Okay, last up, 25.5 grains. Okay, let's get back to the bench. All right, first things first, our brass looked fantastic all the way across. No ejector swipes, no flattened primers. Everything looks absolutely perfect. Now, so our groups, I think we would have to call them okay, pretty decent, I guess. So Vitivorti N140 was the better shooter by just a little bit, with our first four groups, you know, coming in that familiar inch to inch and a half range. And then this guy got ruined by that dude. I don't know what was going on there, man. The only thing I can think is, like, I hung the target a little bit lower than I intended, and there were a couple weeds kind of hanging out right down here. Maybe if it was coming in low, I don't know if I hit a weed or a twig or something, or maybe it was just, you know, something weird happened. You'd think if it was a super funky bullet, you'd get a weird hole through the paper or some sign that it was flying a little sideways, but doesn't seem to be any of that. It just seems to be a crazy shot that ruined our group and made it almost 3 inches. So that was weird. Benchmark, we had this 1.8 incher. The first guy shot one a little bit high that kind of ruined that group. The second group was decent, but the next 3 groups all dropped one low. Like there's a guy low, there's a guy low, there's a guy low. So it kind of had potential, but I kept dropping one low. That sucks. So this is a very similar target to yesterday, right? Yesterday, with Vitivorti N133 and N135. 135 was the better shooter by just a little bit, but 133 was decent. Today, 140 was pretty good, and Benchmark was decent. So of these 4, I would say N140 and N135 were the 2 better, but Benchmark and N133 weren't that far behind. Definitely weren't that far behind at all. On the velocity side of things, we didn't quite get as high as we did yesterday. Yesterday we were at 3,100 with both of them. Today we were, just a little over 3,000. I'd have to look and see, do a little more research on Benchmark to see if we could push it any harder. But we're just about out of case capacity with N140. So you might jam another half grain or something in there, but just about out of case capacity. The standard deviations weren't quite as good as we saw yesterday. Like, with N140, these weren't quite as good as we had seen with 133 and 135 yesterday, but they weren't bad. We had that nice one at 4.6, but Benchmark was a little bit worse. It had a couple of them in the 20s, and its best was a 14.6. So, I guess to improve, to break that 1 inch barrier here consistently, I'm going to have to work on me a little bit. Because, I'm not taking responsibility for all of this, but I'll take a ½ inch worth. So I think I need to build a bench. And I'm going to do that here. I don't know if it'll be here in August. I might have to wait until we finish, but I mean, crap, August is almost over. We're going to be done next week. So then when I can relax a little bit, maybe take a day, build a nice bench. I don't know if that'll make a good video or not, but it's needed nonetheless. And the other thing, I was looking the other day with my range, a little bit of quality time with a chainsaw, I think I might be able to get 200 yards. I can get 150 right now. If I just move the target straight back, I could get 150. But if I clear a tree or two, I think I might be able to get 200. So maybe a range upgrade, upgrade it to 200 yards, build a nice bench. That would certainly be worth my time. Having said all that, let me call your attention back to 3 videos ago. I shot this target. There was only one group on it that was at over an inch. Several, that were approaching ½ inch. So, same shooter. Actually, this was with a 16 power scope, and today was with a 24. So I'll take responsibility for some of it, but not all of it. So did our bullet sorting have any effect? I don't know. And this wasn't really an appropriate time to jam it into a video and expect to see improvement that we could directly attribute to the bullet sorting, but it didn't really seem to help much here. I'm really impressed by those weight numbers we got, at the beginning of the video. These are some consistent weight bullets, assuming my sample, is a representative example. So I think what we'll do next here with the Bob's bullet is I want to try out a couple powders that I don't have much experience with. The first is H322. Now, H335 and H380 I've shot. I just assumed this was a ball powder. It's a freaking extruded powder. Who knew, man? So I don't really know why I haven't tried 322. It's a little bit fast for 223. This isn't going to be a high velocity powder, but hopefully it'll be an accuracy powder. And it's another one of their extreme powders, which I think, means it's temp stable and stuff. So yeah, hoping for good things with H322, and I have no experience with it. 3031 I've shot before, but I haven't shot it in quite some time. So I'm thinking these two might be a decent next video. They were both requested, back when we first started the Bob's videos, so I grabbed some of them. I think I may have grabbed one more. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I've picked up a couple more powders here to try, so that's going to be next. However, it will not be tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be a 300 blackout video with the 135 grain Sierra Varminer. One of the incredibly generous $10 a month donors over at Patreon requested that I shoot this guy with IMR 4227 and H110. So, by God, when they make a request, we drop everything and make that video. So that's going to be tomorrow's video. To be honest, I wouldn't mind getting into like a, I want to shoot my 300 blackout more. So I wouldn't mind getting into maybe an every other day. We just switch back and forth between 223 and 300 blackout for a little bit. I don't know. But then freaking Elvis Ammo is over there on his channel posting videos about powder coating at lower temperatures. And I really want to try that out. So a casting and powder coating video might be around the corner as well. This whole thing seems to work a whole lot easier when I just don't plan too far ahead. So after all of that talk just now about planning ahead, don't bet on any of it. Except tomorrow, 135 Sierra Varminer. So do not forget to vote in the scope cam poll, whether you like it or you hate it or you just don't care. Let me know in the poll. If you want to support the channel, you can check me out at patreon.com/reloading. Give enough money and by God, I'll drop everything and test your bullet for you if you want. See you guys tomorrow.